last Premiership last year, and he came in and he started smashing the top teams on that Lee Sin. So looking forward to seeing Demo being back here in the Premiership.
Now we'll have to see how the picks and bans all fall out, as we are on 8.4 as well. So a lot of different changes to come out here. There's Hyperion on the blue with Razor Governors on the red. Talia Tristana taken away straight away.
I mean, Foxdrop will concur with me. No surprise to see Talia gone.
Oh yeah, Brown Talia is so good.
Heavy roaming. Super high impact. Scion ban coming through is something that has been playing more and more in the top lane. Banner of Command is an item that Scion can make work, so he's a very good split push top laner that can make that Banner of Command work, and it's been seeing a bit more popularity recently.
I wouldn't be surprised to see some kind of Corki presence in the ban here. Not usually what you see, but he is known as a bit of a Galio counter.
And Vrao is very good.
Vrao is so good at Corki, and because the teams love Galio, he's very strong, but especially they love him in the ESL Prem.
Yeah.
I feel like if you want, like it's being first picked a lot, is certainly a very good first pick. I would, if Hyperion decided first pick Galio, it does open up that Corki on the other side, and we know that Rouse is really good at it, and it's being played as a counter right now, so... Yeah,
absolutely, but you mean, Galio is a kind of pick that could work with Banner, right? You know, you can kind of play Banner on Galio if you wanted to, whereas Corki, a lot of pro teams would be like, the more banners, the better, right? So if you can build a composition around banners, sometimes it can do really well. That's interesting, though.
As a first pick, a blind first pick, that is pretty interesting. They have taken off the Cassiopeia, who's destroys right, especially with the new itemization, but... Yeah, that is really interesting to first pick that one. And I like when you pick Xayah by itself, because it sort of forces Hyperion here to decide, oh, are we forced into the Rakan pick here? Because you don't really want to give Xayah Rakan over, so...
The synergy is a minor, but sometimes that minor synergy can be enough to sort of...
The extra little bit of distance to get the Rakan out, the extra little bit of shield. Like
but also the fact that you can do a little bit of work pushing a lane and then instantly back with your AD carry, you know, that kind of thing is sometimes overlooked. But the Skarner prioritized here, even though Zach was up and Sejuani was up as well. So, Sejuani now going through over to demo.
It's pretty standard. Zach, Sejuani, Skarner.
Yeah, it's the top three at the moment, right?
So
Rip Jarvan.
No huge. Yeah, Jarvan's kind of like the 0.5 tier below, I would argue.
Yeah.
But it would be
when everything else is banned.
Exactly. when everything else is off the table and you're not really sure you want, but there it is. They do give over the Rakan, and I think that could bite them in the arse, but might be.
Well, the thing is, Razor Governors now have 2 bans. They can throw into that bot lane as well, deny supports. We're actually going to deny the top lane.
There's too many good supports still left on the table, I think, to get 2 bans and sort of limit the pool. I think what's good here is if you have a specific top laner in mind that you want to work with. Gnar is a very good anti-tank top laner. He's very good at punishing melee tanks in the top lane as well. So it's probably a good idea to take that away. Dan XD is also a great Gnar player.
Yep. Plus, you get to set up the counter pick, because what's most likely going to happen here is on the first pick here from Governors, they're going to counter the Rise and then leave the top lane counter pick open. So if you ban top laners away, you force them into blind picking their top, and then you can also counter it.
Exactly.
There's even more pigeonholing.
Mind games into mind games.
Fox has actually raised a really good point about the way that Razor Governors has done this draft, right? The first pick Rise has opened up Razor Governors to potentially have 2 counter picks and 2 solo lanes, because they've got the last pick top lane, which generally is what you see going to top lane picks. Your red side, you generally try and counter pick by the top lane last, because it gives you the ability to open up more tactics like split pushing or just get a good matchup for a tank versus tank or whatever. But now they've got the mid lane already there for Hyperion, another crucial area where you can counter. Razor Governors can get a counter now. They can wait to see the top lane pick from Hyperion and then get another counter on the last rotation of their draft too.
I'm still waiting for the Galio. And they're actually going to blind pick their top.
That's interesting. Did you need
as far as it goes, though, Maokai, especially in this meta, we're seeing more Maokai because he does build banner. He itemizes into that perfectly fine. So, to be fair, as far as it goes, what's going to happen to Maokai? Like,
I mean, you could pick Fiora, right? And then you could just destroy a Maokai. You could go into a 1-3-1 with the Rise and absolutely wreck.
There it is. Crystal ball.
That's asking to make that happen, right? Like, you had in a position to get 2 counter picks in your draft. I understand that maybe you thought Maokai was such a high priority, but you've got plenty of other people that could do what Maokai does, I think, in some way, shape, or form. I don't think you needed to draft this way, but You know, this has pigeonholed Hyperion into a composition where you're not going to get that many banner of commands. I don't. That's maybe one of the flip sides here, but yeah.
If they're all focusing on that and they're all going for that, then certainly, please lock in that Carina route. I would love to do that.
I wanted the Anivia personally. We actually saw Misfits played it in EULCS recently, and it did very, very well. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if we did see it. But
it's very good specifically into Scion, but that's been banned. So
yeah,
I feel like part of the reason.
Cogmore mid lane.
Is that the aim being hooked in?
What?
All right, fair enough.
What?
I think that's very risky versus Sejuani Rise.
Yeah,
he's got cleanse. Good, yeah, good thing he's got cleanse, but that's
Razor
still very
Governors
risky.
are literally doing their logo right now. They're just like, whatever, it's still whatever.
Maybe they found a synergy with the new AP items that Cogmore.
Yeah, yeah.
Hextech GLP Frost thingy. I can never remember the name of that item, but maybe it's an item that Cogmore can use to kite a bit better for himself, set up his ultimate.
I've heard that's like the worst of the new AP items.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the Ludens is really good at poking, and AP Cog is a poke champion. He could be going AD Cogmore, he won't, but he could be. We should at least entertain the 1% chance of that is an AD Cogmore, but
it's not.
It's not, but yeah, all right, yeah, we'll just throw that out. But I mean, to be fair, you can go the T, you can go the Ludens. Ludens is giving you mana now as well, so you know.
Ludens tier, so Archangel's Ludens. It's not a bad build for Cogmore.
And Deathcap as well. Third item's really good.
I just want to know what happened to Galio.
Yeah, that's
strange. A really weird one. You had the knowing you're going into Rise. Galio has so much pressure on the map, which we know, as we were talking about earlier, rotations from the mid lane are how you're going to win these kind of like early to mid game skirmishes, especially with the lack of Tracker's Knife. Kog'Maw just seems like such a weird thing to fit in there.
They may have wanted more damage and more of like a carry, because it would have been all in the Xayah basket if they'd gone Galio mid, right? But still, it is.
You can. The thing is with Cogmore and Banner of Command minions, you've got great siege there, right? Cogmore can zone really well to maybe zone out minion dematerializers. Like if you set up a Banner of Command minion, Cogmore constantly using his Bioarcane Barrage to essentially try and zone out and get a couple of shots off from that empowered cannon minion. Yeah, I can see that potentially it'll work that way. The issue is you've now got a composition that has kind of pigeonholed itself into a 1-3-1 in a way, in some way, shape, or form. I imagine Rise will swap out and go to teleport eventually, because the 1-3-1 is kind of how that would work. Or you don't have to switch out to teleport; you can just use the ultimate if you really need to. Fiora does put you in a situation where you have to win your top lane. You have to win your top lane, and you have to go into a split push scenario because Fiora is not a team fight composition. So there is a risky move to take a Fiora, because it does kind of put you in this scenario where you're like, I have to split push, I have to win my lane, have to shut down the Maokai, and that might relieve pressure from other areas of the map because you'll need to focus the Fiora and get her rolling. I don't know. Maybe.
I quite like the combo of like Sejuani ulti, Braum ulti, Varus ulti. They have good team fight components there. So maybe they've just thrown the Fiora in there as like a secondary sort of win condition, if that makes sense. You know, so not if we're in a situation where we can't team fight and all our team comp can do is team fight, we're screwed. So you've got the Fiora there as like a secondary thing. I'm a bit nervous about Cogmore into Sejuani and stuff, but
great disengage. They've got great disengage though from Hyperion. You know, if things do go wrong and an engage does come through, you've got all of what Foxtrot just said. Those ultimates are great at disengaging and clearing the field in a 4 versus 5 situation, just allowing Fiora to do her thing in a side lane. This is a close game, though. I think the Cogmore is my question mark, and that's why I'd be favouring Hyperion just off the bat.
Yeah, and having looked at both the drafts, I'm going to put you guys both on the spot. Who do you think is going to come away with this? Because like we said, this is kind of, you win, you put yourself in a much stronger position to qualify for those playoffs.
Yeah.
Which Cogmore, we were both kind of saying that, like, you know, Vro was a very big upgrade for the side of Razor Governors and all that kind of stuff like that. But given this Cogmore pick, he's either extremely confident in it or extremely arrogant on it.
I'm split, right? You've got a Banner of Command composition that favors Banner of the Command better on the side of Raise Your Governors, but you've got a composition that counters one lane and can put huge amount of pressure onto Cogmore in the mid lane otherwise. It's too close to me. I'm going to slightly favor Hyperion because I think if that top lane gets rolling, then I think they can just basically ignore Banner of Command and kind of go for it from that way. But yeah, I'd be slightly favoring Hyperion here.
I'm going to say exactly the same as what you said, except I'm slightly favoring Governors instead. Because I do believe in the Vrao show.
Yeah, yeah.
He's put it on before.
He's very good. He is very good.
I'm sure he can do it again. But I mean, Twisted Fate on his Varus, he really likes that champion. He's very good on it. They certainly, both teams have the tools to be able to do things. And it's just, there is that question mark. That Cogmore, it's just difficult. I mean, I just don't really know how to analyze this and how to really talk about this.
Especially with the new AP items. It's such a, like, if it had just been a regular AP item setup from last patch, we would have been, okay, this works, we can kind of make that see something. Because there's so many variables with the new items, it's like, well, what build is optimal? We haven't tested it out. Apparently Vro has.
My only other thought would be is that I know that the Raise You Governors coaching staff and drafting and, you know, the thought that goes into it, they're not stupid, right? Picking a Maokai, they know offers up the potential for a Fiora counterpick. Maybe they baited the Fiora for one reason or another. You know, maybe they took that situation and said, we're happy to have the Fiora pick. In fact, we want them to pick the Fiora into us because it sort of benefits our strategy in some way, shape, or form. The problem is I'm just not quite seeing how that strategy is benefited right now. Yeah,
it's kind of like a maze, and you kind of go, I know where the exit is, I just can't get to the exit.
Also, Banner of Command as a meta, it's really good if you can win the early, get the first Baron.
And push with the first Baron.
Exactly, push with the first Baron, get the Banner Commands down, and take over, like, really snowball game at that point. For me, the question mark is where a Kog'Maw, who is not good really early game at all, who wants to poke as well, how do you snowball off of that pick and turn that into these early Barons? Like, are you really looking at that stage of the game as being where you're going to be, like, popping off and where you're going to be able to make plays?
So we've got Rakan and Xayah, right? Like, we saw M&M snowball a Rakan Xayah lane into just a win. Like, Jokerism basically won the game solo because he was so fed on Xayah. You know, maybe if you are on the side of Raise Your Governors, you're like, okay, well, Kog'Maw takes a while to scale up, clear waves as best I can. Maokai's gonna lose versus a Fiora eventually. It's just not.
You would hope if you're on a Hyperion anyway.
it's just not a winning lane. Maybe I just put my pressure down bot and then we try and snowball from that. And then we have someone who can build a Banner of Command. We snowball our bot lane into a situation where they are super strong. We can then siege as a unit. We have a Banner of Command in the form of Maokai. You know, it's going to be there some way, shape, or form. Maybe it's a bot lane focus for Raise You Governors.
I have a bit of faith in the Maokai lane to be able to at least hold its own versus Fiora, because you can't just go Ninja Tabi Bramble Vest.
It's very true.
And that's just like, that really hurts the Fiora.
It does, yep.
Plus with the regeneration just in his kit anyway, right? But itemizing into Banner Command, that's a question mark as well. How does that affect that 1v1 matchup? It does it really well as far as what the team wants to do and what you want to do to win the game. But at some point, you have to be able to not get smacked about by Fiora.
well, Bramble Vest does that, right? Bramble Vest buys you time until Fiora hits like 2 to 3 items. That she needs at least Black Cleave or whatever to get going with against the Bramble Vest. She's going to have Tiamat into whatever. So she's going to need a bit of time to get to the point where she can start shredding that armor. So Bramble Vest buys you a lot of time as the Maokai in the top lane. But if you just know that eventually, despite whatever you get as a Maokai, you're going to lose eventually to a Fiora, because Fiora beats most people in a 1v1 eventually. It just takes that time. But maybe they were like, okay, well, if we buy Bramble Vest, we stall it out, we're going to get Kog'Maw to the late game, they want to get Fiora to the late game, and then it's going to be sort of the battle of those late games.
Yeah, and that's going to be the question is, how does the Banner of Command meta, like, throw this banner in there? You know, how is that going to work? Because there is, if you can play around the Xayah Rakan in the early game, that's fine. You don't really have to do anything to Maokai.
Well, Rakan can get Banner of Command as well, right?
Rakan can get Banner of Command. You can. I mean,
Skarner could.
Considering how busted it is, you just buy it. That honestly, he could also buy that. I don't think he will, but he could.
But you could very easily have 2 good Banner of Command champions here in Maokai and Rakan, and then you could have, you know,
just look for the side wave pressure,
but then you're losing side wave pressure versus a Fiora anyway. So it's a really complicated game, I think, to predict. I think a lot of it is going to come down to jungler focus, like it usually does. Do you focus with Kog'Maw in the mid, who's very vulnerable to a Rune Prism into a Sejuani gank? Even though he's got the cleanse, you can burn that and come back again. Or do you focus your Fiora to get her snowballing despite a Bramble Vest pickup by the Maokai? Or do you have to react to pressure that maybe put down bot to get this Rakan and Xayah lane snowballing?
I'd be surprised if anything much happens topside, honestly. I think that's just kind of like, Fiora's fine just to chill versus Maokai. Maokai can itemize to just chill versus Fiora. It's kind of tricky, and I feel like you get a kill either way. Not much really changes in that top lane, honestly. So I would more likely see, like you were talking about, like sit on Kog'Maw, burn his cleanse, and then Sejuani rise like holy. If you don't have cleanse, you are sitting dark in that lane.
Because I was cleanse and QSS.
First item.
First item QSS.
Because I was going to ask you the question. You know, if I put you in each jungler's shoes here for your win condition, where would you be focusing in the early game? I know you've just mentioned Kog'Maw, so we can imagine if you were Sejuani in this game, you'd be trying to combo with that rise in the mid lane to put a Kog'Maw who arguably takes a while to scale up anyway behind. If you are on the side of the Skarner, where would you be going?
I mean, I feel like if you're on Skarner's side, then it's really hard to help Kog'Maw, in my opinion, because he doesn't give you anything. He can do that little thing where he drools on the lane and slows people down, but it's not really much. He doesn't give much at all. And Ryze is just notoriously slippery to gank anyway. He's got the move speed, the shields. He itemizes quite tanky with Rod of Ages and stuff as well. So it's honestly hard to focus mid. I don't think you look anywhere else but Xayah personally.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, if you're asking what I would do, I'd do something. I would invade, die level 1. My teammate would say better jungler wins. I'd tilt. I'd finish the game 0-3-1.
You hit your Q. They're under the Nexus turret. You're like, I have to go. I hit it.
By the way, guys, I think we have been talking for a very long time. I realized we had to restart the game. I think there was an issue with one of the players. I can see it right in the back over there. We had to quickly restart the game, I believe. So.
Yeah, quick restart. Slight issue with one of the players, but before we go in, very quickly, one thing we didn't actually touch on as well. I want to see them play around Dragons and Barons, because we got the new amped Barons, they stack up a lot better, and the new Dragons as well. I want to see how they come into this, and I want to see how they kind of work around those objectives, because those things could be huge for both sides.
Well, Xayah Rakan bot lane, if you can play around the Dragons by snowballing a Xayah Rakan, it might be a really good win condition for your team. And you're up against the Braum, though. Braum is notoriously good at stopping ganks.
Everything.
Everything. Like, Braum is just the ultimate anti-ganking support. So,
anti-everything.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think it's a tough game for Skarner. This game, I really do. I think a lot of the time he might just be farming, because I think he'll find it difficult to find space on the map. He might get some good counter ganks off potentially, but
level 6 things really start exploding though. Sure. You've got the Varus ulti engage, you've got Braum ulti, you've got Sejuani ulti on the other side. You have Skarner ulti, Rakan's engage. It's
party in the bot lane.
Yeah, it could really just flick a switch as soon as things hit level 6 in this game.
Yeah, it could be. We have another little pause, and we do apologize that you have to listen to us talking, but we are into game, ladies and gentlemen, for the first game of the day. It is going to be Hyperion versus Raise Your Governors, and we've talked about it in length, and it's going to be interesting to see how these two guys kind of, feel each other out in the early game. Like you said, level 6 is the big explosive point, but what happens before then?
Whole lot of nothing is what I would imagine. Yeah. I mean, a lot of these teams are fine just going into late game, and when you have team comps that are okay just chilling and going into late game, then that's what they tend to do when you're having these more organized games. So I would imagine, if I were, I could imagine a bit of pressure going down onto Rao early, seeing that cleanse get broken, seeing the Ryze, the point and click CC, the Sejuani follow in. If they get that and the cleanse goes on cooldown, that changes the level 6. The level 6 power spike comes through and Kog'Maw dies.
You're hyping this up now, like.
But he's gone fleet footwork. If he's gone fleet footwork, Kog'Maw,
yeah,
I honestly don't know whether that's even AP Cog. I mean, we sort of entertain the idea it could be an AD Kog'Maw, which is not really what you see.
More for the memes than anything else, because.
But I don't think you necessarily go fleet footwork if you are. Wait, does he?
He has no ability power though. So.
He has 0 AP, yeah. So he generally might be an AD. Generally might be AD attack speed Kog'Maw.
Yeah.
Runa's Hurricane.
Yeah.
Like Ginzu's.
Attack speed on hit.
That's really interesting. I wonder whether Snuggly will itemize into a Ardent this game then.
Yeah, I actually want to see how Hyperion deal with this, because they might know exactly what way this is going. Do they look to try and go, okay, we need to get some early magic with this? If not, if it is an AD Kog'Maw, then they only really have to deal with armor, and that's a scaling battle that, Raise Your Governors will lose.
Yeah, I mean, Kog'Maw can pump out a crap ton of any kind of damage, really. I died. I was playing Zag, and it was my mistake. I built Cinderhawk Warmogs, nothing else.
Preface with your mistake.
Yeah. and I died to a Kog'Maw. Oh, there's the engage. Is it going to be just a little bit harassing?
Early. That's a very early ignite. And that's going to be a summoner down. No one burned for Hyperion. That was they didn't quite have the level 2. I think they felt like they were going to have the level 2 a little bit earlier. Yeah. They didn't get the minion to die quick enough, and that's a summoner down. And I don't think that was the ideal move for Raise Your Governors.
No, well, they pressure it, but yeah, you get an ignite. You basically trade a summoner for pressure, which is not ideal. But it's I mean, it could be a show of things to come, really, where Xayah Rakan are just going to go crazy all the time and just pressure a lot. Like we mentioned, that would happen. Just to really quickly finish my point what I was saying before.
Of course.
I went Cinderhawk Warmogs, so basically loads of health, no resistances. Kog'Maw did 500 damage auto attack to me, but 1500 damage with his W. That's how much, and that's magic damage. So that's how much. And considering Sejuani can easily itemize into Cinderhawk Warmogs, she loves doing that, and we could see. Yeah, basically, Kog'Maw will be putting out a lot of magic damage.
Yeah, Kog'Maw does damage confirmed in the late game, but We do see it's actually a Cloud Drake for the first one, so we shouldn't see too much action around that. But we do see a Skarner hiding around this mid lane. Emmy needs to be a little bit careful.
This is smart though. If you're playing as a laner, you see your jungler go in to invade the bot side jungle like the Skarner's done there. You can see Vral's positioning. He's hugging the bot side of the mid lane there because that's his safe side. If Skarner's there, he knows Sejuani's not there. If something happens, he knows he's as close to help as he can be. So just playing around where you know your jungler is, it's a smart strategy, just a little solo queue thing as well where you can, because he doesn't have wards either side, but he doesn't need wards. He knows he's safe on that side because Skarner's there.
It's got the protection of the Skarner, who is going to go back though and pick up his first buy. And apart from that little engagement bot side, it's been fairly tame, like you called. It's just been kind of walking over. Generally, the lane's going exactly how we called them in the pre-game. And as you said, I don't expect much to happen for a very long time. Ryze already got back and got his tier. I'd see the
spot him out there. Yeah, Ryze is already moving up. This is just pure. I really don't like playing with people like Kog'Maw in the mid lane. I played with an AP Ez recently as well. It's a similar deal. They just don't have any skirmish pressure early. You know, like Kog'Maw will really not contribute much at all to these fights early game. If Skarner runs into Sejuani, he's always going to have to run away. He's not going to be looking to do too much, which is a bit of a shame, a bit of a wasted opportunity, wasted potential, because Skarner's one of the best dueling junglers in the game. So,
especially pre-6.
Yeah, he's very good at running at people and smashing them about, especially if you're standing in his little spire thingy.
Yes.
Then you will not beat him. Like, you won't beat him there at all. But yeah, that Ryze will absolutely join a play way earlier than Kog'Maw will and offer 10 times more than he will as well.
And actually, Ryze took the...
There it is.
Oh, a little bit of a gank, forcing the flash. There, you twisted. Back away, stunned from the concussive blows. But like you called it, aggression constant coming out from the Xayah Rakan.
And if you blow summoners at this stage of the game, level 4, level 5, 5 minutes into the game, this is setting up the level 6. So when Skarner with that Predator, with that blue smite, with his flash, with his ultimate, how do you stop Skarner killing Varus when he hit it? I would expect him to be there bang on when he hits level 6. At least if he does do that, there's a very high chance with the engage from Rakan with his flash as well. If he gets his ultimate too, I mean, that is a sitting duck in the bot lane right there.
Yeah, the bot lane of Hyperion feeling the pressure, and Daijin hasn't been the greatest at, you know, alleviating that pressure for EU Twisted. And I feel like the Braum, we talked about him being, you know, the anti-ganker, the anti-everything. He kind of needs to step up a little bit better. But something I did want to talk about very quickly was the minion dematerializer on the Ryze. I want to see if he keeps that for later in the game, because we talked about the banner of command minions. If he keeps that, that just instantly kills that push. It doesn't matter what he's got on him. So I want to see what he does with that. Yeah,
we were seeing games in the LCS yesterday where teams were holding on to like 9 dematerializers across the board, just so that whenever Baron minions came down with the banner of command, you would just pop them. So I would... He's used another one, so maybe he's not holding on to them. He's only got 2 left now, and he's the only one on his team with them. We have seen supports go dematerializers as well, so we don't see any of that in this game, but he is the only source of that dematerializer. I'm struggling to say that word for some reason.
Yeah, it's a weird one, because you say minion dematerializer, and it's like that kind of tongue twister.
It's tough.
But you usually see people using them this early in the game to gain lane dominance, which the Ryze has had, but it's not really turned into anything. There's been no real, you know, kind of fruitful roams. There's been no real kind of pressure put onto the Skarner, who's just kind of rotated around his jungle, farming up, getting up to that level 6. So I don't... Oh, cheeky indeed.
That's actually pretty annoying, honestly, for that whole recall, because you saw Varus stopped his recall too, because they can't... If they don't go back together and they are not synchronized in their recalls, and that's a little bit... You don't ever want to be in that lane just by yourself as Varus with no flash, so you have to go back with Braum. You have to be at the same time as Braum, so... But we're getting... I mean, he's level 6 now. We're getting close to that point where I said things until level 6 would be a little bit chill, but then maybe afterwards they start popping off. And Skarner, his first ultimate is a very big one. There's no counterplay to his first ultimate, and he looks like he's just gonna go on cruising down the mid lane, not actually get anything, but he's, you know, just saying, what's up, hello, how you doing?
They see me rolling.
Not much else than rolling, honestly.
No, just rolling.
Or does it count as rolling when he's in that skin? He's got those kind of like tank tire tracks.
They're rolling.
Do you think that's a roll, technically?
I don't know. We'll let Twitch.
It's a bit like a bagel. Is that a roll?
I think you're into, you know, politics now. And that's the one thing I was told never to talk about was politics.
Oh, fair enough. You're the Irish and the Englishman here. Let's avoid the politics and move on nicely and go on to ragging on the Welsh. How's that sound?
Ah, sounds
a common
perfect.
enemy.
Yeah, a common enemy between the both of us. But I must actually say, just to point out a little bit, Governor has actually done very, very well, and he's equal in CS in this lane. We kind of hyped up the Fiora to expectantly run away with this lane. It hasn't happened. She hasn't had any real pressure, and it's kind of just been a farm fest.
I mean, I would imagine Fiora would scale. That's the kind of appeal to the Fiora. It's not necessarily winning the lane phase, especially because, I mean, he just rushed Bramble Vest. Like, that's what you do versus Fiora, Bramble Vest, Ninja Tabby. But he will eventually scale, especially since he's gone Kleptomancy. If he's got Kleptomancy, he will scale even harder. Cheeky Cloud Dragon going down there that we didn't actually get to see. But that, honestly, Cloud Dragon isn't really seen as one of the best dragons, but I feel like when you've got Skarner and Kog'Maw, it's actually quite nice because Skog'Maw? Skarner and Kog'Maw.
What a combo.
Yeah.
The Skog'Maw.
They're the infamous Skog'Maw combo.
Yep.
They like running around, basically.
Yeah, they do like running around, but also as well, it's kind of also late game insurance as well. When you get towards that Elder Drake, is that you get that extra little buff. The movement speed isn't really going to be a huge amount, but it's that extra little bit of kind of, you know.
They see him, he's going in mid. Is he going to ult Vrow?
Yeah, oh, he is. There it is. Cleanse and flash. Yeah, straight away.
That's a disappointing one there because she was sitting on a ward. We saw her sneak in there. There's a ward right in that chicken bush. And still, she sat there for like 10 seconds, flashed over, ultied, and that's both summoners from Vrow down. So return gank's most likely going to be coming in there. You don't really need your ultimate when the Kog'Maw has 0 summoners.
Well, especially when you've got the Ruin Prison and you just have the Sejuani CC naturally in her. So, you know, a bit of a big misstep there from Vrown. We hyped up a lot of things in the pregame. We had a lot of time to hype up a lot of things in the pregame, but I want to know what he goes, you know, kind of how this Kog'Maw progresses through this game, mainly because it seems so easy to get on top of now that the summoners are down. As I say that, it looks like there's going to be a dive onto Governor. Does pop down the cats by himself, room prisoned in. He does have flash, but he doesn't want to use it just yet. Emmy going to tank up a little bit, but first blood going over to Dan XD. Demo was up the top as well, and they're going to pressure into this tower while Skarner is bot side. Flash in with the Impale, going to use the flash in as well from the Rakan. They're going to completely decimate EU Twisted, and they get a reply for the side of Razor Governors.
Kill top lane, that's going to be the first blood tower as well. That is the advantage of getting that first play. A slightly delayed but follow-up play should be answered with a tower as well, so we're trading kills and towers here. We said that as soon as Varus loses summoners, he's just a sitting duck, and he basically was, really. Skarner comes in, you're not getting away from that one, especially when you know it opens up the opposite side of the map, because someone goes top lane and makes a play, all right, I'm going to go bot lane and make a play here instead. You know there's going to be no counter to that play, and to be honest, if you are Hyperion side there, because you're the one who made that first play, you should expect something might happen down here. You're very vulnerable down there. You have no team support.
It looked like he did expect it, but he just kind of face-checked a bush for no reason. It was very, very strange.
Maybe he was trying to prep it. Maybe it was like, something might happen, let's ward the bush.
Yeah.
And it's too late because there's a Skarner sitting in the bush already.
Yeah, but that does mean the Hyperion do pick up the Rift Herald, so a potential push there, either into bot lane or mid lane to get another tower. They do kind of trade a kill for a kill, a turret for a turret, and a kind of a mutual for a mutual. Dragon versus Rift Herald. It just depends on what you can do with the Rift Herald that determines its worth. And as I say that, Dan, he's going hunting. Does not want to go into the two of them, though.
No, just a little bit of testing the waters a bit, but not too much. There is a bit of a gold lead building up here, though, for Hyperion.
Yeah,
I don't know where that's all coming from. That could. There's a little bit coming. Yeah, there's a little bit coming from the first blood tower, but honestly, it could be Kleptomancy as well. Because I don't know how many like sacks of gold she's looted this game or anything, but yeah, she could be genuinely having a few hundred of that gold lead just sitting from Klepto right now.
We just saw it there, 15 plus 5. There's 20 gold straight away. There's another 10. It just keeps stacking up.
It adds up. It honestly adds up.
It really does, especially when you're coming up to the 13 minutes of the game. And we'll see now what the side of Razor Governors want to do. They are on the slightly better scaling comp, arguably.
Rinse and repeat, boys.
Oh no, Governor, you will not be raised. You will be going down again as he tries to get in. Does drop the ultimate, but there's just too much CC. Demo picks up that one. As you said, rinse and repeat.
Now, if you're Hyperion, if you're the Varus, if you're the Braum, You have to know Skarner might be trying. He's going to be around here, okay? So play a little bit chill. Hyperion have to know that they've got all the pressure in the spot lane right now. What does that mean? And it means the mid lane tower is actually going to go down as well. So a decent response from Governor here. Rager Governors, I should say. Not Governor, he's dead. Yeah, he's in the Shadow Realm.
He didn't get a response. He got a grey screen. But it forces the TP out from Dan. But this is a lot of pressure in, and they have got the ultimate available on top of the Skarner, so they might look for this. The tower does fall, and that's a huge amount of like kind of pressure you can now put onto the side of Hyperion. That mid lane turret is so important. Yeah,
that was really good. I feel like that's as best a response as they can get, considering it was a reactive response. They didn't see that coming in the bot lane. Rager Governors didn't predict that play. If they did, Governor wouldn't have died. Skarner was still clearing his red buff when it went down as well, but they made nice, okay, what are we going to do here response, and that was to go into the mid lane. They get the mid lane tower, so I really feel like, considering the situation they found themselves in, they couldn't really have done anything better there. But something as well, like a small point to note about the gold lead. We talked about Cryptomancy in the first class tower. Haven't even talked about the fact that she's gone for Targons as well, which is going to give her the Bandit passive. So it's basically just like an extra Kleptomancy. So all in all, I don't know 100% how much she's getting from those like extra things, but it genuinely is. I mean, you're seeing it. It helps Fiora scale, and that's what they want. They want Fiora to be able to scale.
It's now a 2,000 gold lead off of just a kill, which, you know, doesn't actually happen. You look at the CS. Yes, the Fiora is now 20 CS up, but and actually in the mid lane as well, so there's a couple of little places, but it's not a huge amount that should equal 2,000 gold. So I'm curious to see how the Razer Governors respond to this. Dragon is up. It is a Mountain Drake, so this one is important, especially when you want to try and burn down those Barons. When you have the Kog'Maw and Xayah, you can do it quick anyway, but the Mountain Drake can definitely help.
And we do have TP advantage from Razer Governors as well, because Fiora uses to try and defend mid. So Maokai can just push top, and if Razer Governors want to, they can stall, they can chill out, they don't have to force this one, and use the fact that they have an extra member on the top side of the map here, so they don't have to initiate, like, just instantly react to this one right here.
Couple of big item spikes as well. We actually see the QSS finish there for Emmy in that mid lane, so he's got a little bit of extra protection. Still waiting for Varus to finish his Guinzoos, and this is a real good time for the side of Razer Governors, because when you don't have that extra little bit of kind of, you know, damage, that blasting one does very little. We might see a fight coming in now as we got the Skarner off to the side. They're actually going to completely engage on top of him, drop all the ultimates as we see Jakamaka untouched on the backside. Demo, though, does eventually get the kill onto the Skarner, but Fiora dies as the Shezwani and the rest of Hyperion are running away. They cannot fight this anymore as Emmy just about gets out of there. But that is most likely going to be the Dragon going over the Razer Governors. They saw the item spikes, they took the fight, and they came out on top.
That's exactly the fight you want to take, your Razer Governors. I was a little bit worried they were giving it up for free, but the TP comes in, and like you mentioned, Jakamaka free hitting in the backside. He wasn't the only one. Our friend Vrao as well. He was just getting hit after hit after hit, and when you're playing Kog'Maw and you can free hit, that's perfect. That's what you want to do. The Ginzu's item power spike, like you mentioned, makes him pretty bloody scary, and there it is. And that puts a pause on Stems of Bleeding. I don't know if that's the right thing to say, because they're not like, they weren't getting smashed or anything like that, but they were. It was slipping a little bit.
Little things were piling up, and that all of a sudden kind of brings the game back into the even footing.
Exactly.
They now have the two Drakes, and it's going to be a bit like I said just before this, the Mountain Drake is so important, especially for the side of Razer Governors, because with Xayah, with Skarner, and with Kog'Maw, you can melt that Baron so quickly. Like, so that's going to be a huge risk there for Hyperion to leave that area like unwarded. They need to make sure they have full vision on that at all times, otherwise they're going to have something slip under their feet.
It's also pretty important that you get the Mountain to take it away from Hyperion, because if Fiora gets it and she split pushes, she's going to love that. She's going to melt it.
I like it. It's like, oh, perfect, love it.
Yeah. So take it away from Hyperion, get it for yourself. That, like you say, that Baron though. I mean, in the meta right now, you have to really respect Barons, and we'll see if it looks as though that's going to Snuggly's going to be building into the Banner of Command, because that does build out of the Aegis there. So if you have Banner of Command and you get those Baron earlies, and they can absolutely melt that Baron. Maybe that's something we should have highlighted a bit more with the Kog'Maw pick. Is he's so good at doing that. Like, he is. So he's probably the best. I would argue one of the best people at taking away Baron. So they can, yeah.
Maybe second only to Kalista.
Maybe second only to Kalista. Well, Kalista's got the burst with the rend, but she doesn't have the consistent DPS there, you know. So
doesn't take it as quickly, but can take it very quickly when she wants to.
If it was going to be a smite wall, you'd want the Kalista for sure.
Definitely, definitely. But it will be up in just over a minute 30, as we see Razor Governors just establishing vision. They still have yet to take their second tower, so, or sorry, their third tower in that top side, which is already pushed up. And you can see the 1-3-1 already being set up here from Hyperion, but it's a flank coming in. They're going to jump straight in. They're not quite able to get a full engage onto EU Twisted, but it doesn't matter. They'll take Daijin. Demo with the ultimate. I feel like that was a little bit wasted, and now they can pressure this mid lane.
Absolutely, good engage there. You don't quite, it was really, really close. Snuggly was like trying to claw his way to get into the Varus there, but wasn't quite happening. But still, you take the Braum, that's fine. You get something, that's cool. Something as well to note about the gold lead, like we were talking before, it's still a gold lead for Hyperion here, but Quicksilver Sash sort of melts away a bit of that gold lead there. So it looks like they're ahead by well, they're not ahead at all anymore. Dead on exactly equal.
This was such a strange call from Hyperion. They kept the 1-3-1 despite losing the Braum, meaning that they lost that inner mid. That's such, again, another key moment. It opens up more of that jungle that you can push in and get some deep vision down onto. Dan will eventually take this tower, but it will be a little bit of a while. He may not get it on this wave, but possibly the next. But it's a bit of a weird one. Gold pretty much even now, coming up to 20 minutes. Both teams on 33, and nearly 34 for Hyperion. But it's just an interesting call there from Hyperion. They decided to kind of keep the push going. They're committed to this strat.
I feel like once you lose a member, that they kind of thought, well, this is going to be too hard to defend. We've got Fiora. She's not really wanting to group anyway. Maybe we should just play to our strengths here and just try and, rather than put out this fire that's happening in mid, let's go start our own fires in the side lanes. It did
fire with fire.
Exactly. And it's a good strategy, honestly. And in solo queue, that's one of the biggest differences between people who aren't quite so high up there and people who are higher in the leagues, is they won't just react to everything. They'll be like, okay, you're doing this, I'm going to go do this, rather than trying to defend everything, you know?
Yep.
And I think that's what the call was there. And it's kind of led up to this moment where Fiora's taken the towers, and Ex-Scoundrel talked about this a lot, where she's just going to reach that point where Maokai is really going to struggle to deal with her. And I think as long as Maokai can just not concede too many towers, it's fine, honestly. Like I really don't think there's much kill pressure from this Fiora here onto Maokai with the Baron West with the Ninja Tabi, but you can't just be conceding bleeding objectives. You can't do that.
Yeah, that's the thing though. It's like, he will. We were talking about how the Fiora will start to, destroy this Maokai. Fiora is destroying this Maokai, and we actually see Hyperion going for the full engage now into this bot side. They want this inhibitor turret. You need to make sure that your inhibitor turret line does not get broken. He's by himself. It's a 3v2. Governor trying his best to stay alive.
Baron. They're on Baron.
They are on Baron, but there is a ward. Now the TP is coming in. They have 2 TPs available, both coming on the same one, but there's a great Braum ultimate to separate the fight. Daijin is the first one to fall, but Rakan is next as well. Demo super low, but Skarner has fallen. Xayah and Vro just last hitting, trying so hard. EU Twisted will fall. They will end up getting the kills they wanted, but they gave up a little bit themselves as well. It ends up being a 2 for 3 in favor of Hyperion.
That was such a clutch, close play. I was so just like worried and scared watching that whole thing, because it dies so fast. The Baron dies so fast. Like, Razor Governors, I don't even really think they had the pure intent to take Baron there. You just want to start it, because then you're like, okay, come, let's go. What you got? What you do? Let's go. And that's what they were doing, but then, actually, wait, this is dying really fast. Are we going to get a 50-50 Baron still here? Like a smite war? We don't want the smite fight. Like, that's too scary.
Well, let's have a quick look at here. You can see the TPs coming up into that ward, but look at that great Braum ult to separate the team.
It's a great Braum ultimate, but he gets dragged in by the Skarner, and honestly, if you are the side of Hyperion, you're probably happy with that, because now Skarner's ultimate isn't up for the rest of the carries. And what's really cool about this fight is that on Razor Governors, it was the 2 carries by themselves against the world at the end of that fight. But that really just goes to show they have so much DPS, they have so much damage from Razor Governors. They don't have the best protection for them, but if they don't die, you see what happens. I mean, we saw it before with the Dragon fight as well, but now they're even stronger, and they're going for another Baron play, and this is going to die so fast. I don't even know if Hyperion can stop this.
They may not be able to, but they haven't got TPs, but they've got a lot of engage if they want to go for this. The Baron down to about 2,000 health. They're going to look for the engage, though. The re-engage coming over. Rakan is deleted, and that, nearly got stolen, but 2 people dead. Is it really worth it? Don't think the Skarner's going to be able to get out of this one alive. They will lose 3. They will lose 4. That means that the goal that they gained on the side of Raise Your Governors is not. It is completely brought back by Hyperion, and they're going to be able to take the Mountain Drake off this as well. Possibly even top lane turret. There's so much advantages. Raise Your Governors making such a crazy call, half and half.
That was, they tried to do it, they tried to play for it, and to be fair, their disengage was pretty good. You saw they forced Sejuani out with a threat from the Skarner ultimate coming in, their Maokai ultimate came through. I feel like they were almost on it, but they weren't really on the same page. We saw Rao disengage from that Baron while it was on like 3,000 health, wasn't hitting it at all, which made it go a lot slower, and then it allowed Hyperion to come in, and that was secured by the Xayah of all things. That was not as... That was really risky still. Hyperion could have easily taken that, and if they took that, boom, that's the game done pretty much, honestly. Fortunately, one person survives. There's still a Baron up here for Raise Your Governors, and they do have the Banner of Command. There it is. Banner of Command with the Baron minion, and this is the Baron fight here. Snuggly dies straight away, instantly. He's not providing anything, and this is the worst place to fight. If you are Raise Your Governors, you do not want to be here at all. Where are you going to run? Where are you going to go to? You got nowhere to go. Kog'Maw just gets, without protection, he's very vulnerable. He's really just, I mean, it's just like a sausage with legs. And he dies, and that's what happens. But now we've got the Banner minion here, and let's see what this bad boy can do.
We see a little bit of a split call. Bro gets caught, but they're going to try and protect him this side of it now. Now you can see the protection coming in. They lose 2, or 1 apiece, I should say. But it's EU Twisted is absolutely massive. Gets 2 kills. The rest of the team are just trying their best, but nothing they can really do there. Unfortunately, it ends up being a 5-for-2 in favor of Hyperion. They get rid of that Baron buff. They get rid of the push. And despite all the protection, everyone literally jumping in front of Ro, they just couldn't keep him alive.
I wonder whether part of that was because he had to cleanse, or did he sashed, sorry, he sashed the Varus ultimate straight away, which then means that's not up. But he didn't even use his cleanse, so maybe that wasn't even a problem anyway.
I think he just got DPS down.
I
think it was literally just the Rise and the Varus got him straight away with a load of abilities, and he just got absolutely melted.
I feel like a part of the problem there is that the way Raise Your Governors want to play these team fights, especially when you have high DPS champions, is you want to kite back. You want to just completely just hit whatever's in your face, hit them, but then move back and move back and move back. But Governors are moving forward here, but you can't move forward because there's a tower. And look what Rise is doing.
I was going to say, look at Emmy. No one even touches him.
Rise is like a spell-casting Kog'Maw to a certain extent. Like Cassiopeia, Rise's machine gun mages.
Everything's Kog'Maw.
Everything is Kog'Maw. You're just throwing out the spells, and yeah, but it's so tough to take down Rise. Like, he's got Rod of Ages, he's got Quicksilver Sash, he's got Mertrez, he's got the shield from the Seraphs as well. Like, he's...
Oh, Dan. Oh. Dan, I feel like you went a little bit too ham.
I don't know, he might be able to do this one, honestly.
Kog'Maw's coming, though, as is Xayah, and they will be able to burn the Quicksilver Sash and the Flash.
All right.
But gets out alive, and that's all he needed to do. While that's all happening, we see Hyperion trying to push in that mid lane, but they're not quite coordinated, not everybody there, so they're going to have to give that one up. So overall, net win for Governors.
Yeah, generally speaking, if you're the split pusher and you can draw 4 people to you, get ultimates out of them, you're pretty happy with that one.
If your team can then make
But if your team isn't on the map and they can't really do anything with it, then it's not really anything. I mean, that's the solo queue special where you play a split pusher, you push up, you die, your teammates all in spawn, and then you start raging at them in chat because your team's not doing anything. But you got to wait for your team to set up, really. And they were almost there. I mean, they were kind of pushing up the mid lane. They weren't quite able to do what they wanted to do there. But still, that, I mean, we saw flashes there of what is Governors, both the player and the team, their worst nightmare.
Uh-oh. Emmy comes in, does get the... Ooh, actually a little bit early on the Sejuani ultimate. Will get Jakamaka out as they get the root down. Jakamaka just about getting away. Emmy had to flash in to try and get that one, but more summoners burned. And as I say that, though, they look like they're trying to just go with this 1-3-1. There's the Ryze ultimate. They're trying to just jump into this mid lane, use this minion wave to their advantage. There comes the Maokai ultimate, as slow as you like, but the Varus ultimate, why are you going in on that? There's no need. As I say that, though, Varus is dropped as well as the Prem. There's going to be Governors coming out now with a little bit of the win. And that was strange from both sides. Rakan going in a little bit too ham, but at the same time, Hyperion staying far too long.
Absolutely, and we saw Varus played very much like that in the previous team fight, the one that was in exactly the same spot but in their base. He walked forward to finish people off, and he got away with it in that last team fight. I was watching it, I was like, okay, this is a bit forward, this is a bit ballsy. He got away with it. This time he tried to do the exact same thing, and he did get a little bit caught out, but he does get caught on the very tip of the Rakan engage, which makes his sacrifice completely worth it. And then the dragon from the Skarner there. I talked about wanting to cut it back a little bit more. I suppose that makes focusing a target and cutting back quite easy when they're pinned to the tail of Skarner and being
when they can't move,
dragged, screaming, kicking and screaming into the base. But I mean, honestly, if you're not forced to move forward too much as Rachel Governors, you're really happy taking most of these fights. Ryze is an absolute terror right here. He's really hard to deal with. But honestly, if you force him to walk up to you, he's relatively easy to deal with. It's just when you've got so much going on that he's then on the side doing stuff. I feel like if the more uncoordinated, the more clustered, I guess is the best word, these fights become, the easier it is for someone like Ryze to operate.
I want to welcome you to the new meta, Quicksilver Sash, our Lord and Savior.
There's 5 sashes in this game.
Yep, there is a lot of sashes, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see the top laner from Razor Governors going for it as well. They are going to lock up Governor in question. As I say that, though, Prem going to be locked up as well. Suppressed Daijin, forced to use the Glacial Fissure, but that's a great ultimate from the Varus and the Sejuani to re-engage this one, though. Vro trying to get himself out of here. He's so low. They're going to put Governor now into that team fight, try and get him. This is so messy. Tanks just being shredded as quick as they can be. Demo, though, now he's in trouble. Everyone just backing away. There's just not enough damage. As I say that, he flashes in aggressively, but it works out for the side of Hyperion. Now they can aggress. Now they can look for more kills as Dan goes hunting. Snuggly has no mana. He has nothing left. And Vro will also fall to the same fate. It's an ace and a triple kill for Dan. And what looks like it's going to be the game for Hyperion.
You have to give huge props to EU Twisted Fate on that one. The apples on this fella. He's jumped in 3 fights in a row. That time he uses his flash. And that's a huge fight. If you lose that, you lose Baron. It's gone. Yeah, it's gone. He just won his team. The whole game. It's done. He just flashes in. And what? How do you see that play? How do you make that play? Huge respect for that one.
Yeah, massive props there as Hyperion take the win. Explosive at the last minute, but
absolutely.
That was fun. That was an interesting. It was very